Great business leaders have been shown to solve problems through integrative thinking rather than conventional thinking. What does the process of integrative thinking look like? How do integrative thinkers, as compared to conventional thinkers, consider their options in a way that leads to new possibilities and not merely back to the same inadequate alternatives? They work through 4 related but distinct stages. Determining salience. The first step is figuring out which factors to take into account. The conventional approach is to discard as many as possible, or not even to consider some of them in the first place. In order to reduce our exposure to uncomfortable complexity, we keep only salient features when considering an issue. The integrative thinker, by contrast, actively seeks less obvious but potentially relevant factors. Of course, more salient features make for a messier problem, but integrative thinkers don't mind the mess. In fact, they embrace it, because it assures them that they haven't dismissed anything that may illuminate the problem as a whole. They welcome complexity, because that's where the best answers come from. They are confident that they'll find their way through it and emerge on the other side with a clear resolution. Analyzing causality. In the second step of decision-making, you analyze how the numerous salient factors relate to one another. Conventional thinkers tend to take the same narrow view of causality that they do of salience. When we make bad decisions, sometimes it is because we got the causal links between salient features wrong. It could also be because we may have been right about the direction of a relationship but wrong about the magnitude. The integrative thinker isn't afraid to question the validity of apparently obvious links or to consider multidirectional and nonlinear relationships. Envisioning the decision architecture. With a good handle on the causal relationships between salient features, you're ready to turn to the decision itself. When you're trying to invent a new business model, the number of decision-making variables explodes. And with that, conventional thinkers have the impulse not only to establish a strict sequence in which issues will be considered, but also to dole out pieces of a decision so that various parties can work on them separately. Integrative thinkers don't break down a problem into independent pieces and work on them separately or in a certain order. They see the entire architecture of the problem, how the various parts of it fit together, how one decision will affect another. Just as important, they hold all of those pieces suspended in their minds at once. They don't parcel out the elements for others to work on piecemeal or let one element temporarily drop out of sight, only to be taken up again for consideration after everything else has been decided. Achieving resolution. All of these stages, determining what is salient, analyzing the causal relationships between the salient factors, examining the architecture of the problem, lead to an outcome. Too often, conventional thinkers accept an unpleasant trade-off with relatively little complaint, since it appears to be the best alternative. That's because by the time we have reached this stage, our desire for simplicity has led us to ignore opportunities in the previous 3 steps to discover interesting and novel ways around the trade-off.